Hello guys and welcome to today's Los Blancos podcast. Today we will be discussing a wide variety of things. We'll be talking about Copa del Rey, which happened yesterday, where we played Arandina and we won 3-1 in a good game from us, and the debut of Arda Guler, plus a couple of other debuts as well. So we'll be discussing a little bit about that. We'll be talking about Kylian Mbappe. We'll be talking about the centre-back situation in January. And then we'll be talking a little bit about Barcelona, Atleti and Girona as well. So, quite an action-packed episode today. So let's start with the Copa del Rey win. I mean, I didn't want to dedicate a full episode since it was against Arandina, and I think, we are expected to win that. It's 4th division and they are quite low in standings in the 4th tier, so it's obviously not a priority for us. But yeah, we won 3-1. It was a relatively easy enough game. I thought they played quite well. I thought Arandina played quite well, and it was, whenever it's a smaller side, I think it's always a nice opportunity for them. But I think the main headline from this match, Arda Guler starts, and I think Arda Guler played really, really nicely. I think obviously everyone got a bit carried away, as we should, but he had some really nice touches. He looked really silky on the ball. And for a guy who's been injured for the last 6 months, it didn't look like he had that rust on him, which was quite nice to see. He had a shot which he probably should have gone in, and then obviously the free kick which hit the post. He created some good chances. He played really, really well, obviously, and it is against a 4th tier side, so I want to see it more against a high level of opposition. But that's a really convincing start. I'm really happy with that. So what were your thoughts on Arda Guler's start?
Yeah, of course, we just need to get minutes, and of course we all thought it would have come in the last Liga game. However, that game was so tight, maybe it would have gotten a bit too physical, and I didn't think Ancelotti would want to introduce him in that game, so we had to wait another 3 days, and of course it finally came. And of course it was against a 4th division team, but in his first start in I think 6-7 months, he has to be commended for what he did, for how composed he was on the ball, how confident. He always asked for the ball, he jumped deep. He was in wide positions, he was all over the pitch, and it was quite a confident performance, and we must be happy for his contribution. It was just him building up speed, building up match confidence, building up match fitness. Happy he got the minutes. Of course, if he didn't play well, I would have just been happy he got the minutes. But I'm happy that after the long wait, he finally had a good performance, because we all expected his talent to finally be a show. After all the training videos, after all the matches with Fenerbahce and highlight compilations, he finally lived up to what we know he can do. And now we just have to see him implement that in bigger matches. And maybe for the Super Cup, he could be a key player to open up deep blocks against Atletico Madrid. I guess in La Liga, when the games are tight like the one in the weekend, he can be a key player to open up these games. He showed that on yesterday, and hopefully he will have the opportunity to do so in a bigger match.
Yeah, I think, like you said, I think we need some more opportunities for him. I think that's what we need. But First game back from injury, first game for Real Madrid. I was pretty happy with it. So yeah, let's hope it continues. Obviously, we'll be heading to the Supercopa next. We're going to be playing at Atleti. We'll discuss a little bit more about that later on. Some other players played, which was quite intriguing. Vinicius Tobias, his first game for Real Madrid. Alvaro Carrillo, his first game as well. Nico Paz played as well. Mario Martin played, and Alvaro Rodriguez returned to the team as well. So I mean, just a quick summary of each of them. I think Vinicius Tobias, I think he was very confident on the ball. I like that from him. I liked how he, instead of just doing the simple stuff, I think Vinicius Tobias realised that this was the game he had to show himself, and I think he played appropriately for that. I think there was some losses of touches, but I thought defensively he was quite solid. I thought, I was pretty happy with Vinicius Tobias. I'm not sure if it was a performance that's going to put him straight back into the first team, but Hopefully it is. I hope that it was enough, but I don't know. Alvaro Carrillo. Now this, I was actually really happy with how he played. I was really impressed with him. I thought he was better than Nacho in this game. I thought he was really solid. I thought he was imposing. I thought in possession, I thought he looked really good as well. So I was really impressed with him. Nico Paz, I thought it was quite disappointing from Paz. I thought he could have done better. It wasn't that good from him. I think he didn't really do that well to create many chances. Nothing really that great from Nico Paz, and I think obviously he scored that goal against Napoli, so he has some credit in the bank, but he has to improve upon that, especially against a fourth tier side. You've got to do better than that. Then Mario Martin, I thought Mario Martin was fine. He didn't get that many minutes, so he played centre back for a little bit. I thought he was fine. Yeah, maybe some more minutes in the future, but yeah, he was fine. And then Alvaro Rodriguez comes back into the lineup. He does well in the air, but apart from that, didn't really have the time to make that much of an impact. And it was really garbage time minutes that he got. It wasn't really, Real Madrid weren't really pushing for any more goals. It was a game over at that point. So, yeah, overall, that was my reflection on those players. What are your thoughts on the Castilla boys?
Yeah, pretty much the same, if I'm being honest. Tobias, he was quite confident in possession, tried things, I guess, that maybe Carvajal and Lucas Vazquez wouldn't. And I'm happy to see that because hopefully he's going to be included in the squad for the Supercopa. Because Lucas isn't available, and of course, if Nacho is going to be playing a centre back, then we don't have a backup right back. So I think Tobias should be called up to become as backup, which seems maybe a bit unlikely because I believe in that big game, Ancelotti would still put Valverde or Nacho there and try to throw him into centre back if there's an injury or something like that. But it's a game maybe it would give Ancelotti confidence to give him more minutes because he is a talented player and he showed that. And hopefully he can have more opportunities to end the season as well. It's unlikely he's going to come in the Super Cup, but maybe to end the season or maybe the next Copa match he can get more minutes. So I'm looking forward to that. Carrillo, yes, he had a good performance, but I'm not going to overhype the performance because he dominated the entire match, but his covering was really good. His intelligence was really good, so I'm happy for that. And with Tobias, there was one instance where he tracked back, utilized the speed and won the ball in his own defensive, outside the box actually, and it just shows how good he is at defending. He has improved a lot. He isn't a perfect defender, and he still has a lot of flaws, but his covering and interceptions was good. And that's good for him. I didn't quite see most of the misplaced passes because I believe that mostly came in the second half. And of course, like many other Manchester supporters, we all mostly tuned into the match to see at Guler Stadium, if I'm being honest. But we still had a lot to see other players. Martin, I saw that he played at centre back. And that's good, of course, for his development. And it's good to see him get minutes again for the first team. Nico Paz was a bit disappointing, like you said, but of course he played well in the other matches for the club, so I guess you can give him a pass in the sort. It was his first start, so hopefully he can get more opportunities because he is a good player and he's showing that consistently at Castilla, so one bad game wouldn't change anything. However, I must say that he's been in the first team and getting minutes because of Guler's injury. Okay, so maybe with Guler back, his minutes will jump. And of course, that's unfortunate because I hope that this isn't his last game for the season his last game in a while, because I don't want his last game to be like a bad game. So hopefully he gets some opportunities. And with Rodriguez, I was happy for him to get minutes again, first minutes for the season. And like you said, he did well in the air. And that's definitely one of his strengths. He had two header chances, difficult chances, but he got at the end of them, and that's the important thing. Of course, it just shows that if he's good in the air, Juanlu is good in the air, Bellingham is good in the air, he would have there's other players who can have in the team. So I guess that's why he isn't playing in the first team. It's a bit disappointing because he is talented. So hopefully we can see him more in the future. But that seems unlikely, if I'm being honest. Even for Gonzalo Garcia, it's unlikely as well because of how good our attacking team is with Vinicius, Chico. If we sign a striker, they would fill in as well by Diaz. So even Guler, Nico passed ahead of him. So it's a bit difficult for any other striker to get in the team at the moment.
Yeah. That was I think our review. Obviously, Fede and Rodrigo came on, which I wasn't really too happy with. I think they should have got the rest, but whatever.
Well, I think they had to come on because Camavinga and Guler, they both had injuries, and the regulations for the Copa states that 7 first-team players must be on the pitch.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I think apart from that, I think it was what you expected. It was a 3-1 victory against the 4th division side. You know, it was obviously a good game for them. I think 3-1 against Real Madrid. That's a result that they'll be happy with. So I'm happy for them. But that is it for that. Let's move on to talking about the Supercopa, because that is the next big tournament where the Real Madrid team are going to be flying out to Saudi Arabia. And it is a 4-team competition. We'll be playing against Atleti in the semi-finals, and then on the other side of the bracket, Barcelona will be playing against Osasuna. So you'd expect Barcelona to be beating Osasuna, but based on their recent form, that is not an easy game for them. Definitely not. We saw in the final against Osasuna, in the Copa del Rey final, they are not an easy team to beat. So, this is going to be a difficult game for Barcelona, but more on our side. Atleti, obviously they beat us early this season. They've had a worse run of form recently, which is good to see. Always enjoy Atleti dropping a few points, but I'll tell you something. Alvaro Morata has been really, really good on form recently. He's been scoring a lot of goals, which is really, really bad for us. Him and Griezmann have been putting together a really good partnership there, and I think that's going to be a real threat. Same way it was against us. We struggled against Morata in the reverse fixture, if you remember. He scored 2 headers, which really did cost us in that game. We're gonna have to be more careful of the tracking with how we do against Morata this time round. So that's gonna be one of the main things. And I think we're gonna have to make sure that we keep Griezmann quiet, which is a tough task, but we can do it. I think we can do it 100%. Girona did it against them. They won 4-3. It was a very good game. That was a very exciting game. And I think Atleti obviously have weaknesses. Their defense is not as solid as it used to be. We know all this. We've seen all this. But their attack is going to cause us a few problems, especially with our defensive issues, vacancies. I think one of the main problems we could have, I think we're going to have to play Tchouaméni in defensive midfield in this game, because if you remember in the reverse fixture, we didn't play Tchouaméni out. They just ripped right through us. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on that Atleti game coming up?
Yeah, I think Tchouaméni, Mendy, Carvajal, Nacho, Rudiger, they're all going to be like the back 5 ahead of maybe Luna or Kepa. Maybe Kepa might play, I don't know. Maybe Luna might play. It's honestly difficult to say, but that's going to be the back 5 ahead of Kepa or Luna. Midfield, Modric would be there because he was rested. If Modric wasn't going to play, he would have played on yesterday. So Modric is going to start. Toni Kroos would start. That is a bit ironic. That's a bit more calm heading into the game with Modric and Kroos compared to last time when we lost. I think it's maybe because of the injury issues. So I think it's going to be Modric, Kroos ahead of Tchouaméni with Valverde. But it's really difficult to tell who's going to be there, because with this year's Chico and Bellingham is going to start. So, of course, I'm not too sure who's going to start.
I think Modric drops out in this game.
Well, I think if Modric, I think he's going to drop out, but I'm questioning why he didn't play on yesterday, because I actually thought that he would have been important alongside Ceballos to overcome the deep block on yesterday. I thought that he would have started the game actually, but he didn't. Honestly, I think he might still start because I think Tchouaméni might have a small, not a knock, but he just came back from an injury. So I don't know if Ancelotti might use that as the excuse or use that as the reason for starting Modric, Toni Kroos and Valverde alongside Bellingham. in midfield.
I really hope not. I think it's going to cost us if that happens. What we do know is we're not going to play at midfield 5 like we did last time, which is always nice to see. But I think Rodrigo and Vinicius will probably start this game. I think this would have been a good game for Joselu to start. I think, to be totally honest, Simeone said it last time, we should have played Joselu because Bellingham plays better when Joselu's there. But I think when you've got Vinicius and Rodrigo available, I don't think you can drop them. So that is the case for that. And then in the final, if we play Barcelona, we'll obviously talk about that next week. So I think that's going to be an intriguing game against Atleti midweek. Definitely. Let's talk about some signings then, because we are in January. This is the first podcast of the year. I forgot to say Happy New Year to all of you. But it's obviously we are in January, and it has seemed like the centre-back signing talk has died down. I think this could cost us. We've got to get to March. March is the point where I think we'll be fine. If we can get through to March without any injuries, any problems, we'll have Militao back and life's good. But if we don't get until then we're in for a huge problem. I don't think we haven't got any fixtures like we haven't got a big Champions League fixture up until that March game. So RB Leipzig I think we can handle. And obviously, when the big Champions League fixtures roll around, we'll have Militao back, so that's going to be a huge plus for us. But I think that the club is making a very bad decision. They're saying that that there aren't any good centre-back options on the market, which I do agree with. I do agree that the centre-back options right now are quite thin for the backup role. I think that we don't really have many options. But we're not signing a centre-back to be the starter, we're signing a centre-back to be cover. And I think therefore we should just look at just signing anyone. I think a Lindelof wouldn't go amiss. I think he isn't the greatest player. I don't think Lindelof's fantastic, but just we're looking at cover, not anyone to be there long term. 6-month loan is what we should be looking for. So I'm a bit disappointed that we're not going for anyone. We were looking at Len Yoro, but I think we're going to let him carry out the season. Gonzalo Ignacio, same thing. Antonio Silva, players like these, we're probably going to let them see out the season and then go for a move in January. But this club do not like moving in January whatsoever, and it's going to be a tough situation. But I think we're just going to have to carry on because it seems like that we're just going to have to carry on with Rudiger and Nacho, with Carvajal and Tchouaméni backing them up. I like the emergence of Alvaro Carrillo as a potential option. We've obviously talked about Marvel on here before as a good player, but I'm not sure Ancelotti's going to go to them for the big time. So I'm a bit concerned, but there is nothing we can do at this current moment in time. There is no, unless someone like Laporte. If Laporte said, I want to leave Al Nassr for 6 months, that would be amazing. It would be perfect, apart from the wage. It would be absolutely fantastic, but I don't think it's going to happen. So what are your thoughts on the centre-back issues we have right now?
Yeah, of course, it's not something we expected at the start of the season. Even when we had Valero, we let him go on loan. I think the 1 week later, Militao got injured. And it's not something we expected because we started the season with 5 centre-backs. And now we're down to 2. Because 1 was loaned out, 2 has an ACL injury, and 1 keeps getting red cards. So hopefully, Nacho can contain himself a bit more this season. I'm not too sure where that even came from because he wasn't a player to be getting these red cards. I'm not even too sure if he had 1 before the season. I can't remember. But hopefully that Nacho can step up. He's always fit, so hopefully he can step up this season without being sent off at all time, putting us in a difficult position. But honestly, in the centre-back market, it's difficult to get a centre-back. I guess you can understand why the club don't want Ferran, because of course he has been injured a lot since signing from Manchester United, and even as a Madrid there, there were times when he was injured so many times, especially in important phases of the season. I'm not too sure if you remember in his final season, it was Nacho and Militao who played because both him and Sergio Ramos was injured. The year we won the 12th Champions League, when we had both the A team and B team into Sergio Ramos and Nacho starting these big matches because Varane was injured and Pepe was sold and Nacho had big performances against Bayern and against Atletico Madrid. And so yeah, I'm confident with Nacho going into these big matches. And like you said, it's not Nacho starting, it's the depth options. We don't have another centre back because Chouameni jumping into defence can put us a bit. So I'm not too sure exactly who we can sign. If it's not going to be Varane, Sergio Ramos signed for Sevilla at the end of September. So that would have been an option had he not had a club. But Rafa Marin, the club don't want to damage relations with Arabes, so I guess we are down to using the B team players like Alvaro Carrillo and of course Marvel, who is injured. So Lindelof would have been a good signing because he would have been like the second choice defender after Nacho, and he's normally good when he has a good partner alongside him. That's not me Maguire, because Maguire isn't a bad player, but I'm not too sure why that partnership never really worked out. Maybe it's the chemistry, I'm not too sure why. But there isn't any players I believe who's good enough. Mustafi is a free agent. I don't think he's good enough for Madrid. There are no other options that's coming to my head. De Ligt would have been a good option if Bayern wants to sell because he isn't having the best of times with Bayern now. There isn't like a good market opportunity, unfortunately. I know Balashil, I think he can be a good option if Chelsea wants to sell. Shalova, Eric Dyer. These guys wouldn't like excite us, but they are guys who maybe can just provide numbers in the depth chart. So Dyer, I think, is going to Bayern. Shalova, I'm not too sure what's the situation, but I know he's been playing much along with Balashil. So they can be good options, in my opinion. But not Mustafi and not Boateng. That's it, I believe. There are no other names coming to my head now.
I mean, Kimpembe, maybe, but he's an absolute idiot at points, so I'm not going to say it, Kimpembe.
PSG won't give us Kimpembe.
Yeah, PSG ain't going to sell to us anytime soon. Options are dry. I mean, Lindelof hasn't worked at Manchester United. Like you said, he hasn't had a good partner. And Maguire's, I don't mind Maguire that much, but both of them are slow. They are slow players. And, Lindelof's best attribute is his ability on the ball. But Man United, they face so much pressure. The centre-backs face so much pressure. Lindelof ain't that type of player. He's never been that type of player to... when he was at Benfica at his best, he was when the side was ball dominant. I think he would do that at Real Madrid, but what can you do? They're not going to sign Lindelof, so it's a difficult one. But I think we're just going to have to continue with what we have, which is not the right decision. But we'll see what happens. If we fall down with another injury, then we are in big trouble. If we go into against Bayern with Nacho and Chouameni as the centre backs, Harry Kane will eat us alive. He will eat us alive. That would be a huge problem. So, what can you do? Let's move on, because in recent days there's been a big rumor about a guy called Juanlu from Sevilla. Now, there's been rumors that Real Madrid want to make him a priority signing for the summer. So it's very interesting, because I think I had a look at him. I had a look at some of his stats. Obviously, I have never gone to watch Sevilla to watch him. I've never done that. So I don't really know enough about him in terms of his ability in big games. But I did go to watch some of the highlights. I did look at his stats, and his stats defensively look great. I mean, I looked at some of his history. He was originally a winger, and then he moved back to right back last year when he was on loan at Mirandes. In the second tier, he moved back to right back, and he's kind of just stuck there. But he defends like a fullback, but he also attacks like a winger. I really like him. I think defensively he looks amazing. He's in the top 1% for tackles 1, tackles in the defensive third, tackles in the middle third. The dribblers tackled and dribblers challenged. and he's also very high in the percentages for blocks, for passes blocked, and then tackles and interceptions. He's putting up for the tackle numbers. He's putting up world-class numbers. There's nothing less than that. He's putting up world-class numbers. I mean, going forward, he's provided 3 assists this season, and Sevilla have been straight ass this season. They have been so bad this year, and yet he's been providing assists for his teammates. He's been good going forward as well, and there was one game against Barcelona where he locked up João Felix, which sometimes you could say João Felix locks himself up, but he was good against him. And then Martinelli had a good battle. I think Martinelli obviously played better because Arsenal won, but I think he didn't do too badly against Martinelli, and so I think he looks good. He's 20 years old. I think he's definitely not the finished product. He's nowhere near the finished product, but he's got promise. He's got plenty of promise. He's good defensively, good going forward. I think he's obviously only had experience with teams towards the lower end of the table, which is a bit of a problem. But apart from that, he looks good overall. His profile looks good. And obviously, Real Madrid needs some more Spanish players. They need some more Spanish players in this squad, to fill in, quality Spanish players, Spanish players that are competing for the national team. Right now, I think he could be a good signing, to back up the understudy Carvajal for a few years. I think could be an option. I think he's still maybe 2 years of good football away from being a starting right back for Real Madrid, but 20 million euro release clause. It's not a bad price. I think he looks pretty good. I want to see him a little bit more for Sevilla, but I think he looks pretty good. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, he looks good from the simple packages that we have seen of him so far, the simple statistics and stats that's always coming out for him. He looks good, and of course he's playing in La Liga. He's playing as a wing back mostly, and his statistics defensively and offensively seems okay. It's nothing. His attacking statistics isn't like compared to some of the best fullbacks in the world, but like I guess James when he was fit, or I guess Kyle Walker with his consistent overlaps, his numbers isn't there yet. But of course, if it's a good market opportunity and a bargain opportunity, then of course you can take it, because Frimpong, I think he's more like a fullback, so I don't think the club would go after him. And of course Xabi Alonso isn't coming, so that Frimpong idea seems far gone now. And of course James has been injured. I wouldn't trust him. I wouldn't trust the big money that we can spend on him. So right back has been a tough market, and I've always think to myself, had Miguel Gutierrez been a right back, that would have been the sure pick. If he could have played there, he'd have been the sure pick to come back and back up Carvajal, or to compete with Carvajal. But the market is so tough, there isn't anyone young that the club can't find. In my opinion, they like James, but I don't think, if I'm being honest, I don't think we should sign him with his in-trade. We know that Frimpong is for wing back, so he is unlikely to be signed. So it's now between Juanlu, who is good, but he isn't like a top player. But if you're signing up there to back up Carvajal, then he's okay kid there. I don't think 20 million is much, if I'm being honest, especially with the fact that he can become a long-term player for the club. So I believe that it's between him and Vinicius Tobias, if I'm being honest. So far, he's a better player than Tobias. Of course, he's playing first division football, but that's why I liked to see Tobias today, because I think that he looked better than Van Gassé, and Van Gassé is our backup left back. And I think if we see how Tobias looks at the first team, then we can actually make a decision if we're going to sign a right back, or if we're going to sign him and maintain faith in him for the future, because Tobias looked good today in the cup, and that's a bit ironic that he's finally got his first team debut immediately after Alex Jimenez got his first team debut for AC Milan in the Coppa Italia. And it was Alex Jimenez who actually took Vinicius Tobias' place in the Castilla team last season, and they both got minutes. This month at fullback for their respective teams. So for me, it's Juanlu would be a good option But of course, if the club is hesitant to spend 20 million because they want to save that money for Alphonso Davies and Kylian Mbappe, as per the report, which I have a look at, then of course the safest option is to bias them if they don't want to spend that money. I'm not too sure why. 20 million is a lot for a young fullback who is playing a good bit of football in La Liga. Remember, we spent over 30 million on Eli Mendy. We spent a lot of money on Diaz to have him back. After his yeah. So, all these guys, Hazard, all these guys, Jovic, didn't play well. So I think 20 million isn't as bad as it sounds.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a tough market, and opportunities like these. I mean, people have been saying I've seen so much of Trent in the last few weeks, and and obviously there's always going to be the option for Frimpong. The problem is these two. On the other side we're gonna have Davies. If we're really gonna go for Davies, we're gonna have Davies on the other side. We cannot have some sort of ridiculously right wing type fullback here, right back. It's got to be someone who's a little bit more conservative, a little bit more two-way, like Juanlu is playing right now. It's got to be someone. It doesn't have to be Juanlu, but someone who's more two-way, who's more good, solid defensively. I've just been seeing so much Trent, and Trent's a fantastic player, but it's just not. It's not right. You can't have this much. It's never worked for a team to have 11 star players on the field and then go and win everything. It's never happened. We're gonna have to have some guys who are gonna take one for the team. We can't have 11 star players on the field. And I think Trent's a fantastic player, but it's good for him at Liverpool. He is, a system player at Liverpool. He's working for him at Liverpool. I think for me, it's just got to be a two-way fullback. It doesn't have to be Juanlu. It can be anyone who's good enough to two-way fullback. It would have been Malo Gusto if he had just waited 6 months extra at Lyon. It would have been Malo Gusto I'm positive we would have signed Malo Gusto last summer if he had stayed an extra 6 months instead of going to Chelsea. But yeah, I mean that's really what I've got to say about the right back. I've seen so much, and Frimpong's fantastic. I love watching Frimpong play, but he is a winger. He's a winger at right back, and that's just not possible for us to play at right back. It was not physically possible. You cannot defend with a two, and that's stupid. It's stupid to do that, and that's all I got to say on that.
Honestly, Fran Garcia, if we are talking about that position, I think we should talk about the other position. I'm a bit concerned about Fran Garcia's defense. And as of late, if I'm being honest, I didn't quite think about it too much early in the season because, of course, it had a lot to do with nerves and his first big year at Madrid. But his defensive performances as of late hasn't been that good. I think yesterday he got beaten a bit too easily for that goal, and he sold himself a bit too easily. So I guess I can understand why Mendy is starting. He's moving forward really well in attack, but I don't think the final ball is there consistently like it was against Sociedad or in other matches. So I'm a bit concerned by it. But of course, hopefully, as the season moves forward, he can do well. In relation to Alphonso Davies, I'm not really high like as many other people on Alphonso Davies coming back. Coming because we can spend money on Miguel and maybe focus on other constructive signings for the club with that money. But I guess Davies is a superstar player. But Miguel, in my opinion, would be the smarter signing, especially if you can get another quality player to play on the other side, if I'm being honest. And then you can have maybe a much better squad. There'll always be time to sign another superstar player, if I'm being honest. Honestly, I would honestly prefer sign another attacking midfielder in 2 years and sign Miguel Gutierrez this season. And then maybe we don't need another left back like Davies, if I'm being honest.
What I will say about that is Davies is on an end of contract. He's really coming close to that contract ending. if we don't get him now, it's never going to happen, I don't think. And I understand what you're saying. It is probably, you looking out on it, I think it would be smarter to sign Miguel Gutierrez, but to have an opportunity to sign probably the world's best left back, the world's best left back for probably cheaper than he's ever going to go for, 70 to 80 million, maybe I'll push 70 to 80 million. I think that's a once in a lifetime opportunity for Real Madrid to go and get. I think, to be totally honest, we've just got to go do it, because at this point we're not going to be able to compete for those signings anymore. Soon enough, we're going to have to rely on those signings that we did with Vinny, with Rodrigo. If we can continue to get those world-class players when we can, no one else is going to be competing for Davies. It's going to be either he stays at Bayern Munich or goes to Real Madrid. Those are the only two options he's got. I think there's only one. We have to do it. That's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And Miguel, I love Miguel. I think he's a fantastic player. But if you're comparing Miguel Gutierrez and Alphonso Davies, I just don't think there's any competition, unfortunately. And I think you're just gonna have to do it. You're gonna have to go for Alphonso Davies. So that's all I've got to say on that.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I guess I can see your point that it's not something that I can realistically argue with. But I'm just saying that I was just mentioning that maybe we can sign more players to fill more gaps in the team if we sign Miguel. Because the report did say that, because of we went for Davies, the club doesn't consider spending 20 million for Juanlu, the Sevilla player, right back. So, of course, I was just maybe analysing options to see maybe how we can fill many gaps in the team. But I believe, if I'm being honest, that the club would try to sign Davies, and most likely they might get him. They might try to maybe force Mendy out, and maybe Mendy might not leave, and then that could have an impact on the PTR fan Garcia. But if we sign Davies, I believe that Mendy should leave, because Davies is an attacking player, and Fan Garcia is an attacking player. And if you're going to build a team with Davies as a left back, and you're going to have him bombing forward on the left wing or on the left channel, when he's not playing, you need someone to come and maintain that, and that person is Mendy. As good as he was defensively, and that person is Fan Garcia. So I think Fan Garcia would better back up Davies compared to Miguel or Mendy, because Miguel isn't that player to consistently bomb forward. He's a player who can come inside. I think he's going to suit Arsenal or Manchester City. I would want him to go there. So that he can become one of the best left backs in the world, because I believe he could be a better player. He has a higher ceiling than someone like Watson, in my opinion, because he is more intelligent. Of course, he can be maybe top 3 full backs in the world if he goes to Manchester City. So I believe if we're keeping someone to back up Davies, that person is Fan Garcia. If you're keeping Mendy, Mendy is not going to give you what Davies does if he's not playing. So I guess that person will be Garcia, and Mendy will have to leave, unfortunately, because I don't see us realistically having 3 top left backs unless Mendy plays really well somehow at centre back this season, in some emergency that the club is having, and then we can keep him. I have no see that. But if he can't play centre back, then the best option is for Mendy to leave.
Yeah, I agree. I think Mendy has to go in there next summer, and he's been good this season. But
yeah,
if Alphonso Davies comes in, that's it. I think that's it for Mendy. Let's move on, and I think we're gonna have to talk about Kylian Mbappe, because it's January, pre-contract ability now, 6 months away from the end of his deal.
Before you start with Mbappe, do you think that he's the best player in the world, and that if you have the opportunity to sign the best player in the world, you should take it? Or hold on first?
He is the best player in the world, I think. On form it's Jude Bellingham, but he's by far the best player in the world, Kylian Mbappe. It's a difficult one now at this point. I think I'm gonna start with what I'm having doubts about Kylian Mbappe, because for Real Madrid, he doesn't fill the gaps required, I don't think. I think that the gaps required is someone who's just going to park themselves in the box and just tap everything in. That could be Erling Haaland. I think Kylian Mbappe is a fantastic player. He's the best player in the world by far. But he doesn't fill those gaps. Let's if we take this out of context for 1 second and we just forget who everyone is in our team, forget who everyone is, forget who Mbappe is. If we take this context for example, we've got a left winger who's really good at dribbling the ball, taking on his man, and is really good at progressing the ball. We've got an attacking midfielder who's really good at defending, really good at the whole everything, and is scoring so many goals this season. We've got a right winger who loves to go inside, loves to play inside, loves to go through the middle, and then also likes to drift onto the left as well. If we look at the player who we're trying to sign is someone who loves to play on the left primarily, who can cut inside and who loves to score goals from the left. It doesn't fit well, does it? And I'm obviously talking about Vinny, Bellingham, Rodrigo, and then Mbappe. It doesn't fit. The profile doesn't fit perfectly, does it? And if we were to go and say, instead of signing Mbappe, we went and signed Julian Alvarez, which I'm really pushing for. I think Julian Alvarez would be a much better fit. If we were to sign Julian Alvarez instead, he would fit much better with this team. He would fit much better with this team. I think the striker role, he could definitely tap it in, but he could do all the pressing as well. He could do literally everything. Julian Alvarez is the complete striker, and I just think, I know that Mbappe is going on an end of contract, and therefore we've got to go after him, because the fact is that we've gone after him for 7 years. We can't just give up when he's got an end of contract deal. But I think the only reason we're going after Mbappe at this point is not because he fits in well with this team, because originally it was because Eden Hazard wasn't working at Real Madrid and we needed a left winger. That was the original plan for Mbappe to come in. But since then, we've had the emergence of Vinicius Jr., we've had the emergence of Rodrigo, we've had the amazing Benzema seasons. And at this point, I think the only reason we're going for Mbappe is not to not look like clowns, to not look like idiots who have chased the same guy for 7 years, and to not get him after the seventh year because we put a 15-day deadline on it. I think if we take that out of context, I think that's not the right reasons for signing literally the best player in the world. That's not the reasons for signing a guy who's going to be asking for probably £1 million a week wages. That's not the right decision, in my opinion. You should never go after a guy just to go ahead and do for just so that you don't look like idiots. I think you look like even more idiots if this doesn't work and he ends up making a fuss around Vinicius Jr. Starts making a fuss around the team, which up until then has been absolutely harmonious. Has been one of the best atmospheres I've ever seen from Real Madrid. This is the best time it's felt for Real Madrid. So, I mean, this is what I'm thinking about Mbappe. But obviously, if we sign Mbappe, I'm never going to complain, because Mbappe is the best player in the world, and I think with Carlo Ancelotti, there's a chance that he's always going to make it work. But it is looking like we're not signing Mbappe for the right reasons. We're signing him so that we don't look like idiots. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I completely agree with the analysis as well. All of our attackers can play as a left winger. Rodrigo, Vinicius, Bellingham is playing as a wide left midfielder. Diaz played as a left wing yesterday. Ada Guler is going to be a winner, and he's going to have a decent impact on the team. I'm not going to say he's going to be amazing or the best player, one of the top 5 best players in the world yet, because let's see how his injuries move forward. But he is at Madrid, where they are more patient than recent history. So hopefully he can get the opportunity to develop. But most of our players are left wingers. 4 of our best attackers this season has played on the left wing or at left midfield at some point this season, and they're all scoring goals. But I believe that with Mbappe, the issue is the goals. I think that, I guess he's going to score more goals than Julian Alvarez, in my opinion. So I guess that's why the club is a bit hesitant to move on from him. It's not like 100% sure that you get Haaland with the release clause from Manchester City. That's not a sitting team. But I would actually prefer Haaland over Mbappe, because he's a striker and he's not going to affect the other players. He has a history with Bellingham and Vinicius and Rodrigo. They don't want to play as a number 9. So signing Haaland will solve more issues, just like signing Alvarez. So yeah, I think that Mbappe isn't a necessity. He isn't like the player that we wanted when Vinicius wasn't like at his best and Rodrigo wasn't world class. So now a lot of stuff isn't the same. We won the Champions League without him. The year Vinicius exploded. We won La Liga without him. We won the Copa without him. We got to the Champions League semi-final and defeated some of the best teams without him. Last season we lost to Manchester City, but you cannot realistically say that we lost because we didn't have a player like Mbappe. We lost a midfield battle, we lost a tactical battle. It's not because we missed a player like Mbappe, and that's how I looked at it, if I'm being honest. Signing Mbappe wouldn't have been like different in that Manchester City game because the guy doesn't defend, and he would have maybe just today maybe he would have given us something in attack, but for me, there are a lot of situations as maybe hindering me. Maybe in the past it was 80%, 20% going after him or not going after him. Now it's like 40% go after him and 60% not go after him. You know, because there's so many other attackers that we can sign. I think Julian Alvarez, it will be too much money to get him out of City. I pay that amount of money for him. I think the options as a striker, to be a striker for Madrid is a bit scarce, if I'm being honest. Osimhen would cost too much money. I don't think he's worth anything over 100 or 120. Haaland has a high release clause, and Alvarez would be a bit too much. Other than these names, I don't think there are any other names, in my opinion, that would suit Madrid as a striker. It's Mbappe, Haaland, Julian, and Osimhen. Kane just signed for Bayern, so that's gone. There's no one else. If you look at it and if you analyze it, who else do you think can be a striker for Madrid?
There is no one. Yeah.
Yeah, unless like for somehow Endrick just plays so well when he comes and has an immediate impact and has a season he had last year. If someone can tell me that Endrick plays his first season at Madrid, like how he did last year, and he gets the same amount of goals, then there's no need for Mbappe because we have Vinicius who's going to score more goals next season. Hopefully, Rodrigo can maintain his form, Bellingham can keep scoring, and then you have Endrick who can score. And if all these guys chip in goals, we don't need Mbappe. If you can guarantee me now, if I can look into the future and I can see that without Mbappe, Endrick would give me 15 goals or 10 to 15, and Vinicius gives you 15 to 25, and Rodrigo gives you 15 to 25 like last season, and Bellingham gives you 10 to 20, and Brahim Diaz chips in with, let's say, 8, and Juanlu can score in emergencies when we have no other option, then I would 100% say, okay, no Mbappe, if I'm being honest, because I'm looking for reasons to say, no, we don't need him, and no, we don't need them in the squad, but we need goals. I have no issue if after 15 days to say Madrid have ended their pursuit of Kylian Mbappe. I would be so happy if I'm saying that, because then I won't have to think about it or analyze it or maybe look for reports on it. So that's my thinking, if I'm being honest. I hope Endrick comes and I hope Endrick does well, so that we won't have to think about Kylian Mbappe, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Enough about Mbappe, because we talk about this guy too much. Let's one last thing. We've got to look around the top of the league, look around us, look below us in the case of Barcelona, and let's talk about some of the signings that these Barcelona and Girona are potentially going to do. I mean, Barcelona have already done Vitor Roque. Let's talk about him. I mean, I think he looked fine in. We talked about him in Brazil as a potential signing for Real Madrid a couple months ago, but it was never really something that Real Madrid looked into, to be honest. I think he's a good player. I think he's a really exciting guy. I think he was definitely refined when he came out of Brazil, but I just don't think he's gonna have the impact that Barcelona fans are saying. You know, there's only been one Brazilian that I can think of straight out of my head that's had that impact straight out of Brazil. Fresh out of Brazil, I think it's only been Neymar that's had that type of impact. And I just don't think Vitor Roque is anywhere near that level of Neymar. So I just think he's a good player and he will eventually become at least close to world class. But I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think he's the guy to improve Barcelona overnight. I don't think that's the case. I think Barcelona, there's a lot bigger problems, which is try and get Lewandowski scoring some goals again. But I don't think Vitor Roque is the answer to that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong. He scores 20 goals in the second half of the season, but I just don't think so. So what are your thoughts on Vitor Roque?
I haven't, if I'm being honest, I haven't followed up on him that much. But of course, hopefully he isn't. Hopefully he doesn't end up to be like a top signing for them. If I'm being honest, I believe that whoever they sign, we should have enough to win the league at least. I think that should be the goal for us this season. Not too sure who Girona will be going after in the market, but I do believe that Victor here would be, from the little bit I've seen of him, I believe that if Lewandowski isn't in form, he can be a guy to step in and do well. So I think he is going to be an okay player at Barcelona. Hopefully it doesn't work out for them, like I said, but hopefully we have enough. Hopefully we're not going into the market isn't going to impact us winning the league, because we are 7 points clear of Barcelona, 10 points clear of Atletico Madrid, level on points with Girona. And I'm thinking about it that we should have enough. But football is a weird sport in terms of anything can happen, and I'm not going to be overconfident. But we should have enough. And God alone knows what's going to happen after now sign the contract if we don't win the league from here. And that's all I'm going to say. And it won't be his fault because he did have the signings, but I'm hoping that he can make something work with the squad that we have, because it's a bit concerning sometimes when we don't go to the market for important aspects. I think that's the issue. Maybe Zidane left and Ancelotti's staying because this is going to be his last club job, and he isn't really, I don't think he really cares about what's open or what other options are available outside of Madrid. He's just going to stay at Madrid, whatever squad they give him. I'm sure if they take away Vinicius and go away from him and just give him, I guess, Gonzalo and Nico Paz, he's going to try and make it work, because he just wants to stay at Madrid and end his career at Madrid no matter how long it goes on to. So hopefully he can make it work, because both teams are making actions to get signings in. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, and you spoke about Girona. You don't really know what they're going to do, and that's true. But there has been talk on potential departures from Girona, which could be huge. Alex Garcia has been rumoured to Barcelona, which for Barcelona that would be an excellent signing, but I don't know if they got the money for that. And then the same thing for Artem Dovbyk, their main striker. There's been departure talk for him as well. I think it would be completely idiotic for Girona to let them go in there now, because any potential offers that come in January are still gonna be there in the summer as well. So I don't know why Girona would sell, but these two have been absolutely incredible this season. And I saw a Girona fan, on Twitter asking for what they want, and the player that they wanted was Angel Di Maria. Now, it's we laugh at it now, but it wouldn't be the worst. It wouldn't be the worst signing. I think, look at Daley Blind. Look how good he's been this season for Girona, and let's say 18 months ago, you wouldn't have said he'd be playing for Girona, who are second in La Liga. It's not completely out of the realms of possibility. So I think I need to stop fanboying Girona, but Angel Di Maria would be an excellent signing for them, and they just need to make sure they don't lose anyone, because that could be if they lose Alex Garcia, that's a dagger blow. That is a dagger for them. They're losing their captain, their best player. That would be fatal, and I think they would drop out. But let's see what they do with the departures. What would you say about those two leaving?
Yeah, I think Alex Garcia is a top player. Hopefully, they don't strengthen the title rival, and they don't hinder us. Who's the other player?
Artem Dovbyk.
Okay, he's got a lot of goals this season, and I think he won La Liga Player of the Month recently. And I think he was the key reason why Barcelona lost him. So hopefully, I would love, for the benefit of La Liga, and to have at least another fantastic situation where there are two teams fighting for the title, with one being an underdog. Hopefully, they can maintain all their players, because I do believe that they have something good going on there. And if these guys want to leave, I think they should, but at the end of the season, when they can actually go somewhere where they can actually maybe play consistent Champions League football. Because let's just see, they should end the season here and see how things goes and continue to build their stock and reputation compared to leaving now. So in my opinion, for the benefit of the league and for the benefit of having an exciting season, to have a wider view and a wider coverage of La Liga, I would love to see them maintain all their top players.
Yeah. So I think that is it for today. Obviously, it's been a mega episode on everything around Real Madrid, next to Real Madrid as well, with Barcelona and Girona. But I think that is it for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you want to read a little bit more on Juanlu, I'll link a Twitter thread down below, and I might even link another YouTube video where you can watch like some highlights of Juanlu as well. So that will be at the top of the description. So do check that out. As well as that, there will be RealMadridCommittee in the top of the description. Go check them out. Best Instagram page for Real Madrid news. But that is it for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.